Ladies and gentlemen, we are live after an amazing 4-0 win for Manchester United over Chelsea. I mean, I can't think of a better day. I can't think of a better day. A better 24 hours. Get a Phoenix Rising 2-1 win yesterday, 4-0 to start the season against Chelsea. That is a big deal, people. That is a big, big deal. Today, I am joined by birthday boy, Matthew McFadden. How you doing, Matthew?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, it's a good birthday, so it is a damn good birthday.
Yep.
Winning 4-0 against Chelsea, I mean, honestly, right, who would have expected that? Literally no one. No one whatsoever.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I don't think anybody would have predicted. I mean, in fairness, Jim Shady did predict a 3-0 win yesterday, but we went 4-0. We're back to 4-0 FC, people. We're back to 4-0 FC. I mean, can you really complain? Can you really complain? If you're complaining, I think you need to check your head. Listen, I'm going to get into the game really quick. At the end of the day, the first half, it was a little bit lackluster. It was. We were a little bit sloppy. Things were a little bit off. And I think a lot of that came down to the fact that we didn't know exactly how Chelsea were going to come out and play the game. And Chelsea kind of took it to us a little bit in the first half. They probably should have had a goal, if not two. Got unlucky. You know what? Iller did say 4-0. I actually do remember that. I'm sorry. So Iller wins. Mr. Iller wins. You did get that right. But the second half, we came out and we turned the screws. And the United counterattack of old really showed up. And it was awesome to see. We really saw some amazing things. No, Ken. I'm obviously just making some jokes here, man. I'm just making some jokes. We got to have some fun because to start the season 4-0, you got to be happy with that. You have to be happy with that. But Matthew, I mean, give me your initial thoughts on the match, man.
You know what's the best thing, right? We beat Chelsea 4-0, and we didn't even play that good.
No, we didn't.
That's the thing. It was in the first half, right? First 15 minutes, Chelsea were all over us. And, we started to get a few bits of play going. But let's face it, that's it. And that, as half-time came, we were sort of thinking, right, we're actually quite lucky here with not conceding a goal. And then in the second half, Chelsea, starting to pile under pressure again. And then not just one, but two sucker punches came to them. And that was just game over.
Yeah.
No, we put them to bed. And then Daniel James, like I've been saying on Twitter all the time, he's a super sub, comes off the bench. And I'll tell you what a boy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt like a family member when he scored that goal. It was so weird. It was like, this is absolutely amazing. That was probably the highlight of the whole game, really.
Well, it's because it literally looks like he's a kid living his dream. And you could see that in his celebration. You could see in his celebration how much it meant to score for Manchester United. You don't get that very often, that kind of just extreme jubilation. The only other person I can think of that had a reaction, anybody that scores their first goal for Manchester United, you could tell how they feel about playing for Manchester United. And it was amazing to see Dan James just get that first goal. And in all honesty, I think that even if it didn't take the deflection, I think it was off of Christensen, if I remember correctly, Matthew. Do you remember if?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was Christensen that took the deflection off of. I think even if it didn't, I think that was going to go in at near post because he was going near post, but he wound up because of the deflection it went in far post. But it was a fantastically worked goal too. Pogba, just the build up from that between Pogba and Rashford was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And in all honesty, all of our counterattacking goals today were amazing. Because that's pretty much...
in terms of Pogba's general play, he wasn't absolutely amazing this game. Like, he gave the ball away pretty sloppily a few times, but it was those 2 moments that just completely changed everything. Like that assist for Rashford was just nutty to say the least. And then, driving forward, giving the ball to James through the middle of 2 defenders. Credit to him. He's playing in a deeper role, got 2 assists.
Yep.
Can't really complain.
Well, that and then the ball that he played to Rashford was absolutely spot on. Could not have been placed any more perfectly if you had intentionally dropped it in there.
That's another thing. All the goals were well worth. Even the penalty. Like Rashford won it himself.
Yeah.
It was good play. And, obviously got taken down. But yeah, good bit of play. First penalty. Second goal, that was Pereira's assist, which was absolutely world class. Like, how can you be at that sort of angle and manage to cover away from the keeper straight in the path of Marcial? That was unbelievable. Pogba's assist was top notch, and his other assist was amazing as well.
It's honestly the team as a whole did perform well. And George, I was literally just about to get into that. So, Matthew, lineup comes out. You saw what it was. We had Andres Pereira starting. We had Jesse Lingard starting. Andres Pereira was the surprise start of the day. He played in that number 10 position in this 4-2-3-1. It was interesting to see, but overall, we saw a bench that was worthy of being on the bench. Like that, we didn't see some of the people that we didn't want to see. Matthew, you see that lineup come out. How did you feel about it?
There were rumours, I think, that Harry Mcguire wasn't playing, or he wasn't going to start it. So that was kind of refreshing when sort of like slap head. I think, Lingard, pros and cons about him. Let's face it, he was a bit invisible today, but you couldn't really complain too much with it. I think some of us had kind of, presumptions about Ole, thinking maybe he might play Matic, he might start one of the Chuckle brothers, maybe Young might see himself in the squad. But even on the bench was not perfect, but close to it. We didn't see any of, was it Jones and Young? Jones and Smalling. Young was on the bench where he should be at the very most. So for me, team selection, you couldn't really complain with it.
No, and so Max's comment here, I basically agree with it completely. And he said, I would swap Mata and Matic for Gomez and Fred for the bench positions. But other than that, it was good. And I agree. Like, I saw that lineup come out, and I was honestly a bit surprised because I thought for sure we would see Mata. And honestly, I would have been okay with seeing Mata in the number 10 position. It's just my opinion. I didn't think Andres Pereira had the greatest game. He wound up getting an assist, which really helped out his day as a whole. But overall, Pereira didn't have a great game. But that lineup came out, and I was like, all right, we're going for this. Like, there's not anybody on that team that's in the starting 11 that I'm going to complain with. There's nobody that's on the bench that I'm like, oh, they're going to come on or they're going to come on. The only time I thought Matic would have came on is if it was literally we were 2-1 up and we were literally like holding on for dear life. That was the only time I thought Matic was going to come on. So Doug said Pogba's pass for the Rashford goal was like a hot knife through butter, which is absolutely spot on. And then Matthew, I have to admit, I was very excited to see Axel Tuanzebe on the bench over the Chuckle Brothers. That was a nice change.
Yeah, that kind of shows his intentions, really. Like he got a few games during preseason, but I think most of us were sort of thinking, right, this is only preseason. He's testing out some of the young guys. He'll put in the more senior players, but he didn't. So, which is pretty nice. Obviously, you might see him ahead of Jones and Smalling, which I hope so, because he's done more in preseason than Jones and Smalling have done in the last 2 years combined. So yeah, it's good to see Big Axel on the bench.
Yes, no, absolutely. It was amazing to see that. And George, that's another thing. Thank you for just being in my mind right now. We did play the youngest 11 in all of the Premier League this year. I think the average age was like 24 and like 255 days or something like that. Like we're a young team. Where you could see what the intention behind the team is. And then honestly, I look at what this team is, and going up big teams like Chelsea, like Arsenal, like City, I think we're going to see something relatively similar in those games. But this is a team that I honestly believe when we go against lower competition, we're going to see a completely different Manchester United. And you're going to see us be able to hold possession and do well. And it's going to be awesome to see how we do overall this year. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. George, exactly. Wolves away next is going to be a big, big test. Alex said, great game. I'm proud of the boys, but I still think we need some fresh legs in January. Ashley Young and the Chuckle Brothers must be retired. And Alex, absolutely. We need some midfield help. I don't think that we will see much of Chris Smalling, Phil Jones this year. I think we're going to see a lot of Axel Tuanzebe, though. I do. But Matthew, like we've always said, I feel like the best way to talk about the game and talk about players' performances is to get into the player ratings and the match ratings. So we're going to jump into it. Guys, if you want to have your match ratings read out, please get them in the live comments, and I will read them out for you. And we'll just, this is where we get to have a little bit of fun and discuss everything. Craig Smith thought Greenwood would have had more time, especially as Lingard was playing on a yellow card. Yeah, Craig, I did think that Greenwood would have come on a little bit earlier for Lingard. Wound up not being the case, and wound up Lingard played the whole game. But we'll talk about Lingard here in a little bit because I feel like my rating for him will be very fair. So we start off, as always, with goalkeeper, and we got Dave Saves back. We do have Dave Saves back. Matthew, how are you going to rate David De Gea today?
You know what? When we were doing our season preview, I mentioned that De Gea's no guarantee considering how bad he was in the last few months of the season. It's actually so good seeing him back. Like that is the Dave that we know. But there was a couple of chances where Chelsea maybe could have scored, a little bit unlucky to, hitting the post and the bar twice. But he was just making crucial saves. I think it was the trademark De Gea save where he just saves it with his leg. And I think it came from whoever was playing in the right way. I think it was Pedro.
Yep.
And it was at that point I was thinking, right, yeah, that Dave that we all know and love is back. And like Mo says, distribution seems to be improving a little bit.
Yep.
It's no longer just like a sliced pass into the middle of the pitch when no one is. So it's got to be 8 out of 10, really.
No, and honestly, I was agreeing with everybody that's commented so far.
General consensus.
I think it's an 8. I think it's really hard to not give De Gea an 8. He made a whole bunch of good saves today. Made one great save. I will say this: the defense did get lucky today, and that we didn't allow a couple of goals. I mean, Tommy Abrams hit the post early, and then I think it was Pedro that hit the crossbar. It basically just hit the corner earlier. Was it Pedro? Do you remember, Matthew?
I don't know. Was it do you mean the other person hit the bar? Yeah.
Yeah, they hit the crossbar, like basically right in the corner.
Was Emerson?
Emerson. Okay, so yeah, Emerson hit right in the corner. So we did get a little lucky not to concede at least one today. But other than those couple of just chances, and those chances did kind of fall down to a bit of luck. Like the Tommy Abrams chance specifically fell down to a bit of luck. You can't really complain much with our defense today. So Jay Hart did say, George said 8, that he gets an 8, hands safe and great saves. Jay Hart said 8, Alex said 8, Mo said 8, and as you mentioned, Matthew did say distribution is improving. Max said 8. Craig said handling was brilliant. What's that, Matthew?
I think everyone said 8.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's saying 8. Craig's saying handling was brilliant from long range shots. 8. I think everybody said 8. So, I mean, I think that an 8 is a very fair rating. We're going to go to Aaron Wan-Bissaka next. I was going to go to Luke Shaw next, but I feel like talking about Aaron Wan-Bissaka and just the man that plays like he's 10 foot tall. And I genuinely think that Pulisic is the only one that got kind of past him. But even then, Bissaka was still on his shoulder. He did not give up on that run. When we would see in the past that, if something like that happened, we would all of a sudden see Ashley Young cut in and just start running towards goal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka stayed right on his shoulder, and it was phenomenal to see. He was blocking shots and passes everywhere, and going forward, he was decent. And that's exactly what we need. We don't need him to be great going forward. We just need him to be decent. So, Matthew, how do you rate Aaron Wan-Bissaka today?
You know what? It's actually just so good to see a proper right back.
Yep.
I think, I was watching the game with my cousin, and I said to him, I think one particular part where he was about 10 yards behind someone. This was the first 5 minutes. He was 10 yards behind someone, and I said to him, watch him make a tackle here. And he just sprinted back and somehow made a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, defenders, fullbacks normally average, I think, 3 tackles a game. He made 2 in 4 minutes, in the first 4 minutes. And you can see how much the crowd loved the first tackle. Like, they were just cheering every single time he got the ball. Like, this guy, I think he's 21 years old.
I believe he's 21.
50 million. Yeah, 21 years old, and we signed him for 50 million. And when you consider inflation in the next few years, it's probably going to happen. That's an absolute steal for that boy.
Yep.
Providing we back to, not necessarily being, like a Barcelona level club or whatever, but still being, a top team. He's going to be a right back for, 11, 12 years to come?
I mean, at the rate he's going, easily.
Yeah, I think they were talking about it on the Flex and Rant show, and they were saying, as a winger, who would you rather come up against, Trent Alexander-Arnold or Aaron Wan-Bissaka? And it's obviously going to be Trent. Because as good as he is going forward, he's a bit suspect defensively, whereas Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he's a complete opposite of that. He's like Virgil van Dijk, but a right back, in that you're not getting past him. You're not getting past him whatsoever. And even on the odd occasion that you get past him, he'll just get past you again and tackle you. It's just such a contrast from Young. So
Matthew, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but it was basically right after the first 30 to 40 minutes, I felt like all attacks down Aaron Wan-Bissaka's side all of a sudden just ceased to exist because they would start passing the ball off early because they saw how involved he was getting in these tackles.
That's it. Just scared of him. That's the thing. The opponent's tactics should just be get down the left-hand side or get down our right-hand side, and that's you won the game. But it's completely different now. Teams will be afraid to go down that left-hand side purely because he's there. So in terms of a match rating, you've probably got to give him either an 8 or a 9.
So I was struggling, Matthew, because he is in contention for man of the match, in my opinion.
No.
And I probably, if I'm going to be fair, because it's not like he contributed a lot on the offensive side, but defensively, he was so solid that it's hard to not give him above an 8. But I feel like giving him a 9 would have meant he would have had to got an assist or something. So I'm going to kind of go in between and give him an 8.5. I know that we don't typically do half ratings, but I feel like the only way, unless literally he made a game-saving tackle, I think it's really hard to give somebody above an 8 unless they contribute offensively as a defender. So Max said Aaron Wan-Bissaka gets an 8. Jay Hart said 8 awesome tackles from him. George said Wan-Bissaka another 8. He is just unbelievable, so defensively solid, and tried to go forward as much as he could. And that's exactly what we noticed as well, George. He tried getting forward, and it was awesome to see. Alex said he's a spider. Nothing passes anyone who wants to pass has to ask another. That's pretty good, Alex. He gets an 8 from Alex. Mo said Spider One gets an 8, which honestly, that might be the best nickname I've ever heard. Matthew can confirm that you are going to be making Aaron Wan-Bissaka in a Spider-Man costume.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Okay,
you know what? That's weird because I literally said that to my cousin today. I said I need to make an edit of that.
Yep.
Nope. So, you might just be a 30 stalker. That's probably what you are, Andrew.
Listen, I'm actually inside your brain all the time. It's actually kind of sexy in there. Doug did say Aaron Wan-Bissaka made 84 tackles last season, the most of any defender, which is amazing to hear. And Alex did. which and then Alex did say Mr. Consistent, which is it's true. He is just consistent. Doug is saying Aaron Wan-Bissaka brilliant. He gets a 9 today. And then George, he said on the Pulisic one, Pogba forgot it was Wan-Bissaka and made the foul on him, thinking it was Young, but Wan-Bissaka would have tackled him, which is absolutely a fact, absolute fact. All the new signings were excellent, as most of our players today. I think for the most part we had a very good team performance today. J-Hart Obi-Wan had to keep guiding Luke. That's a pretty solid comment. Let's see here. J Hart said 0.5 for the clean sheet. Absolutely. No, Pancakes. Hey, guys, in case you forgot, we're in second right now. We're above Liverpool because of goal difference. We're going to win the league. It's obvious. It's totally obvious.
We're going to win the Champions League.
We're so good we actually fought our way into the Champions League. That's what you don't know.
We're just probably thinking, you know what, they're too good. Let's just give them a bye to the semi-final.
I mean,
and then we beat them.
This is actually what happened, Matthew. We threw Slabhead into the ring, and he just headbutted everybody to death, and that's how he earned our Chelsea, our Champions League spot. I mean,
you know what? We could do a whole live stream on him. I love that guy.
Oh,
he is my favorite player in world football.
It's about to happen. It's about to happen because next up we have to talk about Lindelof next, who he was solid. Honestly,
yeah.
he was solid. I'm not saying he was great by any means, but didn't have a bad game at all. And in all reality, probably had just as good of a performance as Harry Mcguire. But Harry Mcguire does win that. Which, Jim, just so you know, I do know that you're the Green Devil on the tweets, on the Twitters. So, Matthew, where are you going to rate Victor Lindelof today?
I don't think he was quite as good as Mcguire. I think at times he looked a little bit scared in possession. There was that time where he sort of accidentally absolutely spun two Chelsea players, which was pretty good to see. But on the whole, you know what? I never normally do half 0.5 onto ratings, but I'd probably give him a 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, the clean sheet can add half a point. So,
yeah. It's a great thing you say.
So I'm sorry, Matthew. What was that?
I said it's a great thing these days with United. Clean sheet.
Yep, clean sheet.
We're bottom of the table for clean sheets at home. That's shocking. 2 clean sheets at home last season. Absolutely disgraceful.
Well, already got one now. Already got one. 21 incoming. Yeah, exactly, Jake. Exactly. So it's a tough rating with Lindelof, but Matthew, I'm actually going to agree with you that 7.5 seems like the appropriate rating. He was solid, so he gets a 7. I'll add the half point on for the clean sheet. Clean sheet earns an extra half point. Victor Lindelof gets a 7.5 for me as well. Jake, what a day. What a fantastic day. Max said Lindelof 7. Alex said, if you don't believe in yourself, no one will ever do. And Alex, you're absolutely right on that. Pancake said Lindelof 8. Mo said Lindelof 8, our best center back on the day for me. J Hart 7.5, consistently good. Jim said he's going to do the lotto since he predicted that Rashford was going to win the penalty. George said Lindelof gets an 8, looks so composed and solid, loves to have a good partner next to him. So so he can play his own game instead of covering for the Chuckle Brothers, which, yeah, that's basically it. It's basically it. Iller said Lindelof 7. Max said our defense looks solid for the majority of the match, which, I mean, Max, other than like 2 moments of just kind of luck for Chelsea, they really didn't have much going on. Fine, Aaron. I see how it is. Leave early. Jeez.
Stream, why don't you?
Yeah.
Imagine.
Jake, why do you say Wan-Bissaka got 21? No. So, George, I think he's saying that 21 clean sheets. 21 clean sheets.
Oh, the 20 titles. That's what it is.
Let's see here. So Aaron, so my brother, who's gumdrops, he said, just stopping in to say Slabhead FC is in full effect and Matthew is still erect from the Dan James goal, that's a fact. That is a fact. He actually sent me a picture on WhatsApp earlier, and I was slightly disturbed, but slightly turned on at the same time. We don't judge in 2019. I think Dan James has as many goals against the top big six as Lukaku now. Jim, you are right. Oh, not title 21. Okay, Jake, my bad. Pancake, I just, I agree with you. But guys, so Jake said 8 for Lindelof was absolutely solid and looked better alongside a very good center back in Mcguire, which is absolutely true. So Matthew, we move on to your favorite player of all time, Harry Mcguire. Tell me about his day.
10. That's all I'm saying.
10.
It's like Ashley Young getting a 0 every match. I'm going to give him a 10 every game. I don't care how he does. He's getting a 10.
So it's Lee Grant. Got it.
Dare I even say it? He's better than Lee Grant.
Nah, nobody's better than Lee Grant. We know this. We know this. Nobody's better than Lee Grant. But so in a serious note, if you want to talk about his day, I mean,
I don't actually think he put a foot wrong. Literally didn't put a foot wrong. That guy. It just seems like he's been playing at United for years now. Like that was not a debut performance. Normally our players making a debut actually really play really well, but you maybe see 1 or 2 mistakes in the game. Mcguire literally did not do anything wrong. And it was just so unfortunate that the set pieces didn't really go to him that much, because that would be capped off what has been an absolutely perfect day. But Mcguire, I mean, I don't think you can give him any less than a 9.
So the one thing I did notice, Matthew, is I did notice that normally he likes to get forward a couple of times in a game, and that's something I didn't notice from him today. But in terms of composure, winning every header that came his way, and just being an overall rock, I think it's hard to argue that he wouldn't be in contention for man of the match as well. I'm ultimately going to give him an 8.5 as well. I look at the fact that he didn't get forward like he normally does. And there was times I did feel like he was playing a little bit safe. I'm not saying like he was only playing safe, but he played a little bit more safe than I think he will in about 10 games. I think right now he's focusing on not trying to make any mistakes. And that's okay. I'd prefer you to not make any mistakes than to try and get forward and then make a massive boo-boo and then leave the defense open for just being destroyed. But I feel like if he had gotten forward more, I could have given him a 9 and possibly more. But for now, I'm giving him an 8.5, which is a very solid rating. So let's see here. Max said Mcguire 9. George said Mcguire 9. Pancast said Mcguire 10. Jim Sadie said Mcguire has a magnet on his head, which I honestly believe that's possible. It seems like every ball that comes in the air his way, it just goes off of his head. J Hart said 8.5. Just love seeing him win every air ball, it's amazing to see. It really is, J Hart. His dominance in the air is crazy, and his ball playing is a revelation, which, George, I can't wait to see more of it, because I feel like he didn't play the ball as much today as we know he can. Mo said Harry 7, played too safe at times. Iller said Mcguire 10. Craig said it felt like we had a leader again in the defense in Mcguire, future captain, absolute rock, 8.5, which I actually am fully on board with. I think if De Gea goes anywhere, we will wind up seeing Harry Mcguire get the captain's armband. I mean, his performance was very Vidic-esque, in my opinion, today. Just very, very solid. Nothing you can complain with. Andrew Mcguire is really mature. That's why. And Peg, guys, you are right. Jake Pert said 9 for Mcguire. His dominance in the air is immense. Plenty of interceptions, calm and composed on the ball. If Jones and Young played instead of Mcguire and Wan-Bissaka, that would have been a loss. And Jake, I actually 100% agree with that. Alex said, if you can just allow me to rate 10 out of 10, I would for Mcguire. Like a glove, he fit into the team. It's like he has been playing in this team for too long. Can't wait to see him play again. And Alex, that's exactly it. I can't wait to see this entire team play again and go again against Wolves. And we need to go in and we need to beat Wolves. Now we move on to Luke Shaw, who, in my opinion, had the weakest performance of anybody across the back line. But even then, I believe that he still wasn't terrible. I think he just needs to adjust to having a new partner alongside him in Harry Mcguire. So, Matthew, how do you rate Luke Shaw today?
Just one final point on Mcguire. I'm going to say this. He'll be next year's captain. That's a prediction.
I can see it.
He just seems like a leader. But anyways, Luke Shaw. Yeah, I don't think he was great, but he wasn't too bad. I'd say, at times, he was kind of caught out of possession. And you see with Wan-Bissaka, he knows that he's got the pace to come back. But it seems like Luke Shaw is a little bit unsure of where he is positionally. I think that's because, obviously, Wan-Bissaka is a far better defender than Luke Shaw. But I think, you've got to take into consideration the clean sheet. But I think Pedro was far more effective. I think he was playing on the right wing than whoever the left winger was. I think it was Ross Barkley.
Yep.
So, I'd probably give him a 6.5.
And I'm going to give him a 7. And the reason why is I did notice him getting forward a bit. Once again, didn't contribute anything. And I probably would have given him a 6.5, but the clean sheet is the deciding factor, and that's why he gets the 7. And ultimately, yes, there were times that he got beat, but when you consider the fact that we're still playing Chelsea, who are a very good team, we can't deny the fact that Luke Shaw contributed what he needed to contribute into the team. He needs to get better, and he needs to improve with this team. Otherwise, next season, we will be looking for a new left back. But for first game, with a brand new defender next to you, I'm going to give him a 7. Max is saying Shaw above average 6. Jack, good to see you. Very good to see you, Jack. JR said, I give Shaw a 5.5 for the clean sheet. I feel like 5.5 is a little harsh, Jay, but I mean, listen, ultimately that's your opinion, and I welcome you to it. Pancake, what was that, Matthew?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. It sounded like you were about to say something. So Pancake said Shaw 7. Mo said Shaw 7. He was left exposed, so we can counter off that side, which I did notice that, Mo. I did notice we were countering hard down the left-hand side. Jake said Shaw was getting double-teamed a lot, didn't have much help until second half, 6.5. George said Shaw 6. His defensive play is suspect, and he's still scared to go forward. So many times he checks back instead of bombing on, which, George, I did notice that as well, but I think with confidence in the team will come him going forward more. Let's see here. Craig Smith said out of position so many times in the first half, improved second half, but had a forgettable game, 6.5. And that's fair. That is fair. Iller said for me, Shaw 6 in defense is good, but to push back in the attack is not. So yeah, and Iller, I get where you're coming from. I do. So we move on to the midfield. Let's talk about Scott McTominay first, who had a very solid game, broke up the play well, distributed pretty well. There's not a lot you can complain about in terms of Scott McTominay's performance today. Matthew, how are you going to rate him?
He just seems to be that big game player who can really step up against the tough oppositions.
Yep.
He just seemed absolutely fearless in the midfield. Don't get me wrong, right? Wasn't a perfect game, but in the first half he was far better than what Pogba was, because he was a bit suspect in the first half and no one covering him later. But I just think for me he did pretty much everything that was asked of him. So in terms of a rating, I'd probably give him an 8. That might be a bit generous, but
I mean, so the only reason why I think it might be a bit generous is because I feel like he ultimately, when he got forward, I feel like his passing sometimes became a bit suspect and he wasn't super accurate with his passing. But I felt like when he was further back, he was much better in his passing. I think maybe it's because he had more time to look around and make a decision. But overall, he still did have a very solid game. Broke up the play well and distributed quickly, which is exactly what we need from somebody that's going to pair with Paul Pogba. So I'm going to give Scott. I'm going to give him a 7, which might be a little harsh, but I think that 7 for the person that's going to pair with Pogba is solid. That's exactly what we need from somebody that's going to pair with him every game, is a 7 out of 10 performance every game.
Yeah, you know what? I'm rating to 7 purely because of what I'm going to get Pogba. So yeah, 7.
Okay, that's fair. So Mo said McTominay 8 worked tirelessly, which is absolutely true. Jake said 7, didn't do too much wrong. Martin Tyler's commentary was like he was having teeth pulled. I didn't have Martin Tyler's commentary, so I wouldn't know, Doug, but that sounds like it could be something that would be pretty funny. George said McTominay is a 7, thought he was quite solid and tenacious. Max said McTominay started off slowly, but did improve, 7. Iller said McTominay 7, our new Darren Fletcher, which a lot of people are making that comparison. McSauce was very good today, 7. J Hart said McTominay 7, good control and possession. Pancake said McTominay gets a solid 8. Jack said, remember when everyone took the piss out of McTominay? Now he's one of our most important players. Don't know if that's good or bad. Jack, it's just nice to see improvement. That's ultimately what it comes down to, is we wanted to see Scott improve for anybody that criticized him. And it looks like he's improving. And I give him a lot of credit for that, because I think that comes down to hard work. Craig said solid, great closing down, battled throughout, 7. McTominay is a supporting piece. And that's exactly right, George. He is a supporting piece. But now we move on to Paul Pogba, who had a very interesting game. But in his passing on the 2 assists, he showed exactly why he is possibly the most important player to this team. So, Matthew, how do you rate Paul Pogba today?
See, if we're talking about overall game, I'd probably say a 7, because in the first half he was pretty wasteful. It kind of seemed like the Pogba that didn't really want to play. But in the second half he got far better. But if you're judging him based on those 2 moments, those 2 assists, then I think you've got to give him at least an 8. I think an 8 is probably actually the perfect rating for him, because it wasn't a perfect game. But even when he didn't have a perfect game, he still set up 2 goals, which just says a lot about his quality. So hopefully we can actually see that on a more consistent basis. And the fact that he got 2 assists, playing as a bit of a deeper player compared to what he'd probably like, I think it just says all, really. He is our most important player, and I've criticised him a lot over the summer, and I think there still is 1 or 2 issues relating to his attitude. But as long as he's doing it on the pitch, then I'm fine with that. So 8 out of 10. Yeah.
I think 8 out of 10 is literally the perfect rating for him, because he did have moments, and is with the entire team in the first half. The entire team the first half really didn't have a great game. But the second half came in, and we saw exactly what Paul Pogba can do. As Paul gains trust with the team, we're going to see more and more and a better Paul Pogba. The one thing I noticed specifically from Paul is he did contribute more defensively. I noticed him working harder, getting back, trying to get his foot into tackles, doing things that we would expect to see of him, of just basically any player that would be in his position. And those things are things that sometimes we didn't see necessarily this last season. This season, we're seeing them. And I'm excited to see how Paul will continue to grow with this team. So Paul Pogba gets an 8 from me. So George is saying Pogba 8, Pogba FC, no other reason. Jack Coleman did say Pogba was just, and then a whole bunch of hard eyes. Pogba again started off slowly, but got assists, 8. George said 100% Jack on Matic's point. Okay, so, sorry, I thought that was something different. Mo said Pogba worked hard, was disciplined, wasteful at times, 2 moments of magic, 7 for him. J Hart said, I give Pogba an 8 for that assist. I mean, he has great chemistry with Rashford and Marcial, which is absolutely true. You could see the chemistry that those guys all have together. Panga said Pogba 7.5 just because he got the 2 assists. Eller said Pogba 7. Shout out to VAR for reviewing Pogba elbow, which was never red nor a yellow. What a waste. I mean, I didn't know that was what they were reviewing the VAR for, so that's interesting. Pogba's attitude is brilliant, in my opinion, said Jack, which that's the attitude we need to see. We just need to see a guy that's going to fight for the team, man. Craig Smith said frustrating at times, but 2 great assists. Sluggish first half, good second half, 8. And so now we move on. We're going to move on to the last midfield position, it's a guy that I think had a lackluster day, wound up getting an assist. So it kind of saved his day a little bit. Andres Pereira. Matthew, how do you rate Andres Pereira?
I don't think it was his best game at all. I think you can definitely say that. Although then again, he's playing in a kind of unfamiliar role. Like, he's not naturally a right winger. And you could see sometimes that Emerson, Chelsea's left back, was getting forward quite a lot. And that was due to the fact that, being more of a playmaker, he's usually drifting towards the middle. But that assist, that cross was absolutely world class.
Yep.
And I don't think it's the recognition that it deserves because of Pogba's assist. Like, that was literally an inch perfect cross.
Yeah, there's nothing you can play with that.
Yeah, like his overall game wasn't really great, but it was. For that assist alone, you could give him a 6.5 or a 7.
I was going to go 6.5 because I think if it wasn't for the assist, he probably would have gotten below a 6. But that assist really took his game up to another level. And it, like you said, it was inch perfect. You couldn't have asked for more. But it'll be interesting to see if Pereira does continue to get the start there. Like Jack said, please more of Gomez at the cam. And I think Gomez is somebody that you could see fight for that number 10 position this season, especially if Pereira puts in performances consistently like that. I think it'll be the same thing with Juan Mata. The Juan Mata will be fighting for that time too. But, for me, Pereira, I thought he had an okay game because of the assist. So 6.5 seems like a very fair rating. Max said Pereira 7 because of an assist. George said Pereira 6.5. The half mark. The half mark for his assist. Okay, the half mark for his assist. Also must check his passport to see if he is definitely Brazilian. Yeah, George, I do have those questions myself. Ilu said Andres 7 because of the assist. Mo said Andres worked hard but lacked just a bit of quality until his assist, 7. J Hart said I didn't even notice Pereira until that assist, so 6.5. Pango said Andrew, I would like to see Gomez getting game time, and I completely agree, man. Craig said really not convinced, 7, and everybody seems like they're wanting some Gomez. I mean, listen, I think we do all want some Gomez. Pancas did say 7 for a decent cross. But I think we'll just move on from Andres. I mean, it's the first game of the season. Let's see how he continues throughout. But now we move on to the front line. We're going to go to Jesse Lingard first, who, in my opinion, I think Jesse had a very, very poor first half and was basically completely missing in the first half. But the second half really grew into the game and looked good. So, Matthew, how do you rate Jesse Lingard today?
Right, see off the ball, he helped with the. He was pressing like there was no tomorrow, but at the same time, on the ball, he just didn't offer that much. So it was really a sort of tale of two styles for him in some regards. I'd say overall, because he was amazing off the ball, but not that good on the ball, you've got to give him a sort of middle of the road average 6. And maybe like one more, one less could have been there as well.
Yeah, and listen, It's one of those things that I think that he did grow into the game, because in the first half, I really actually noticed that he wasn't pressing as high as the rest of the team. And it was a little confusing because that right wing spot, and it's a spot that's going to be a weak spot for a lot for us for the season. if we continue to play Jesse Lingard in that right wing spot. Because once he moved to the middle of the pitch, I noticed him start to press a lot more and be open to getting back and forth. But on that right wing, he did not get as far forward as everybody else. So I think that overall you kind of got to give him a little bit of an average rating. So I'm going to give him a 6 as well. He had a mixed bag of a game. And ultimately, if he didn't really contribute much attacking-wise, there was a couple of times where he had a couple of decent dribbles. But besides that, I mean, it was kind of a meh kind of game from him. So let's see here. Mo said Lingard 8. The system suits him perfectly. Which, Mo, I mean, I would love to see him grow into the system. That's for sure. Pancake said Lingard 6.5. Craig said good attacking play, but faded after the booking 7.5. George said Lingard a 7. He is vital for the press, which we want to play, which is why Mata needs to be taken to the cliff. Jesus, George, come on. Heather said Messi Lingard 6.5. J Hart said 5.5 for me. He ran a lot for sure, but he needs to know where to run. And J Hart, that's exactly it. You can't run around like a headless chicken. Evie said Vamos. Yeah, no, that was a hell of a game, man. Max said Lingard was another slow starter, but did get better and kept hold of the ball better compared to previous games. 7. That amazing run, which Jorginho hacked down, was a throwback to Messi Lingard. George, exactly. I was thinking about that Watford goal that he scored. That's exactly what I was thinking when he was making that run. So, Matthew, I think we move on. I think we can kind of leave it there. We move on to Marcus. No, actually, we'll go to the other wing first. We'll go to Anthony Marcial, who Anthony was originally the lead striker to start the game. We saw him pressing really well, and it looked like he was leading the line really well. So, overall, how do you rate him today?
I think Marcial's overall game was really good, but he kept annoying me with the flicks. Him and Rashford were constantly flicking the ball behind him. It's like that sometimes works out, but you just can't do it every time.
Yeah.
However, we kind of saw it back, and that's the best thing. You know, getting his goal from a top-notch prayer assist. Even though the assist was amazing, unique positioning, and I think that's something that we criticised the Martial, especially on the United Stand podcast. You know, his sort of inability to get into the right areas off the ball. But since that Tottenham game, he's just seemed to have improved that.
Yep.
So hopefully we can actually see him be like a proper number 9, which I think is everyone hopes and dreams, really, considering we didn't sign a Lukaku replacement. So for me in general, you've got to give him at least a 7.5. I'd possibly say 8.
I was going to go with the 8 because that goal was pretty good. I mean, it was a great cross, and it was just as good of a finish because he went 5-hole on Kepa. You cannot complain with a 5-hole goal. But overall, I noticed Martial really pressing well today, helping along defensively. And then overall, his game just looks like he's trying to take it to another level. And that's exactly what we need because, as Matthew mentioned, we lost Lukaku. We didn't bring anybody to replace him. So Martial is somebody that has to step up his game this season. In the first game of the year, he did that. Got a goal, and you cannot complain with him. So I'm going to give him an 8. Louis, the Georgian Dragon was amazing. It was a fun time, and I always enjoy going whenever I get to go. However, I did break my $400 Oakleys. So I'm a little sad, but I broke them because I was celebrating with everybody. So
we get some chat.
We kind of have a wash there. Let's see here. Max said Martial 8. Panka said Martial 9 for the number 9. I believe his best position is truly a number 9, which Panka, I think so too. Mo said AM9 gets an 8. I have never seen him work so hard. This will be his breakout season. Mo, that's the hope, man. That is the hope. Ilya said Martial 8. George said Martial an 8. What I loved particularly was he was really put in a proper shift today in the press and a good finish. Jack said Tony Martial got the 9 back, dripping in sauce, Velcro touch, black gloves, ice cool. Listen, he didn't have the gloves on today, But when it gets a little bit colder, when those gloves come back on, he's going to be averaging a hat trick a game. It's absolute facts. Absolute facts. Jay Hart said, I give Marcial 8.5. Those passes with Pogba and Rashford were just amazing. Yeah, no, I loved the passing today from him today, Jay Hart. Louis said 7.98. So basically, we're just going to give him the 8. We're going to round up for you, Louis. Jake said he pressed, battled, and ran more than I've ever seen today. Yeah, Jake, he really did. Craig said, great link-up play with Rashford, got his goal, and worked hard till the end, 8. Jake said 8. Jack, like you said, Marcial's just a gifted player. See, and I don't see any other ratings. So last but not least, in terms of the starters, we come to Marcus Rashford, who had just an interesting game. It reminded me a bit of Paul Pogba, but ultimately, man, oh man, can that kid fly. Running all over the pitch, and you cannot be frustrated with Marcus Rashford for the shift that he put in today. So, Matthew, how are you going to rate him?
I'll tell you what, Marcus Rashford was a sunboy supper today, and I don't use that phrase lightly. He was just unreal. Like, I'm pretty sure he scored in the last game against Chelsea, or he seems to have a record against scoring against those big teams. But yeah, like, he won his own penalty, which is perfect. It was from a decent bit of play, he picked up the ball. It was a loose ball and a bit of a dodgy first touch, but then just like straight into the box. It's actually good to see him, play a bit more direct, because he seems to be a little bit, whenever he gets in and around the box, he sort of thinks, okay, what do I do now? I'm just going to cut back, maybe try and do a big little skill move or whatever. But actually seeing him make that ball drums, it was refreshing to see the least. Took the penalty, absolutely top-notch penalty at that.
Yep.
And the second goal as well, amazing assist from Pogba, but he had to finish it for it to be a goal. So I'm giving him, I'm going to be generous and say a 9.
I was going to go 9 as well and give him man of the match. I originally was going to go Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I'm going to give Rashford man of the match. The 2 goals that he scored, that penalty, like you said, it's exactly what you want. Hit it hard and hit it true. Don't fuck about and just do exactly what you got to do. Wow, that kind of rhymed. I'm a poet, guys. That's what you didn't know.
Red Baby rapper, that should be a career.
I'm working on my first album. Album dropping soon. It will be dropping soon. But I love the effort that Rashford put in today, and that finish for his second goal was top class. Top class. I mean, he was one-on-one with the keeper, placed it perfectly. Couldn't have asked for more. It's something that we've been wanting to see from Rashford. Just put your head on your shoulders, be smart with your finishing, and that's exactly what he did. Rashford was frustrating at times more than Martial, but gets an 8 because of the goals. Which that is kind of what I was talking about, Max. There was times where I noticed he gave the ball away a little easily. There was times where his first touch was a little heavy, but I think that he'll grow more and more with this team. And those 2 goals gave me all the confidence in the world in him. Jay Hart said, I give Rashford a 9 for the 2 goals and man of the match. Would have been perfect 10 if it wasn't for those flicks. Yeah, Jay Hart, exactly. Just sometimes giving the ball away a little bit too easy. Pankaj said Rashford 9 just because he scored 2 goals, and the finish for the second goal is amazing. Mo said Rashford 9, ridiculously talented, will break Rooney's goal record. That would be amazing, Mo. I would love to see that. George said Rashford an 8. Ice cold pen and fantastic touch and cool finish for the second, and worked excellent in the press. Rashford gets an 8 because of the goals. Rashford is brilliant today, 9. Craig said 2 great finishes. Also looking to run in behind and cause Chelsea problems. Worked tirelessly, 9. Jack said, just imagine if we had gotten a DM like Ndombele in the summer. Yeah, no, exactly, Jack, exactly. And I don't see. Here we go. Jake said at times he tried too hard. Sometimes he just needs to keep it simple. 8.5. So Matthew, who are you going to give man of the match to?
Dare I do it? Dare I give Slaphead man of the match in his first game?
Hey, do you, boo boo?
Yes. You know what? Harry Mcguire is going to get man of the match in every single game.
I mean, for you.
Well, no, for everyone, Andrew.
Oh.
That's my plan. So, yeah, Harry Mcguire, man of the match. I don't care that Rashford scored 2 goals. I don't care that Pogba set up 2 goals. I don't care that Wan-Bissaka made about 613 tackles. Mcguire has a big face, and I love that.
Forehead bias, as Mo said. Forehead bias. We can't live with that.
And you know what? I don't care.
I don't care.
Thanks, Andrew.
We do only deal in facts in 2019, but unfortunately, your facts are a little off. It's okay, Matthew. It happens. No, seriously. I think you could argue that 3 or 4 players could have been man of the match today. I really do think you could. I mean, Wan-Bissaka, Mcguire, Rashford, all could have easily been man of the match today. I ultimately went with Rashford. Mcguire is what I'm seeing a lot of people say. But you know what? I'm just happy to see a full team performance. That's what I'm happy to see. You know what? Real quick, Matthew, quick rating for Dan James, because you got to give him some credit for that goal.
Oh, what a boy. What a boy. Like I said, I just felt like a family man when he scored. It's like, oh my God, he's actually... Like, I just felt so proud of him. So, ratings-wise, like, this is the thing I've said so many times on Twitter. He's a super sub. He's someone that 70 minutes in you bring on and defenders are going to look at him like, oh God.
Yep.
This is literally the fastest player in the world coming up. And you can't do much about it. So, you know, getting that goal, that's just going to be like the biggest confidence boost to him.
Yep.
Right at the Stretford end as well. Absolutely unreal. So, 8 out of 10.
Sure, I'll go 8 out of 10.
Came on, he was told to do something, and he did
it. And I'm, you know what, I'm happy to see him get that super sub appearance, and he'll continue to build on that, guys. He's going to continue to build on that super sub stuff, and I think that, like Matthew said, and we've talked about it on this show so many times, and talked about it on Talking Manchester United. The kid's got pace for days, and the goal today is going to give him loads of confidence going into the season. So, very exciting stuff. Normally, I would give Ollie a rating, but I kind of need to wrap this up because I have a little bit of work I got to go do. So, Matthew, just how about a quick rating for Ollie today?
You know what? Screw it, 10.
You know what? I'm for it. I'm going to go 10 as well. Ollie ball is in full effect. We saw beautiful counter-attacking football. We saw the kids play. We saw a bit of everything today, guys. There's nothing that we saw today besides the fact that Chelsea kind of had a couple of moments of brilliance, and they did kind of have a bit of spells of possession. They did. They had a couple of spells of possession. But he set up the team well. The defense was solid. Everything you could have asked for from a game is exactly what we got. And I cannot wait to see our next game against Wolves, who are a team that really were a boogie team for us last year. They were.
It was like twice a week to them. Or something crazy like that.
It was something like that, yeah. But they were our team that we just for some reason couldn't get over the line with. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Matthew, happy birthday.
Cheers.
I can't think of a better birthday present than that, and the fact that you're coming to Phoenix here in like 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. We will be doing the Wolves preview together right here.
In person.
In person.
At the pub as well. With the Phoenix Red Devils.
Yep.
Today was well getting recognised by Man United as an official fan group. That's very nice to see.
That is a huge shout out to Phoenix Red Devils.
Yeah. From what I saw, the pictures looked absolutely mental today. Like, everyone was loving it, so can't wait to actually get there. And when's it, Monday the game? I'm pretty sure
Monday.
The got changed.
Monday.
So it's up to 1 p.m. in Phoenix time. I cannot wait whatsoever. But yeah, cheers for having me on again. And it's a pretty nice birthday present, that's for sure.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, Matthew's posters, www.offsidegraphics.com. Go get them. They're phenomenal. Marcus Rashford, man of the match, right here. He's right here on the desk. He'll soon be going up in one of these frames. Great game from United, and I'm just so excited for this season. can never complain with a 4-0 win to start the year. And please, all you Ollie out people, please just let this season go on. Just let Ollie have some time, man. But guys, thank you to everybody for joining us today. Thank you to everybody in the live comments. I love you guys, genuinely. Thank you guys for always coming on, being loyal to my streams, and just I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Please drop a like on the video. If you're watching this now, watching it later, whenever, it does kind of boost my confidence a little bit. You guys are just, I love you guys. I really do. But I really do hope that you all have a great night, a great day, wherever you're at and whatever you're doing. Keep doing you, because I love you guys and you guys are amazing. Let's go, Manchester United.